So good evening from Bangkok. Welcome to AIGS Gem Tips program. It is a second free gemology webinar to fight COVID-19 boredom. So I'm Michelle. I hope you are all very well. After the first webinar, many people wrote to us saying that they enjoyed the first one very much. So here I'd like to thanks to Rui again. I know you are one of our special attendees today. And some friends also suggested like we can share some links of the related info in the chat. So please pay attention to the chat area. Later we will share some information there. And also before the webinar, I'd like to say that if you have any questions, you can put under the question and the answer session. So after the talk, and we will try to answer some questions for you. And now I will give the voice to our chairman, Mr. Kennedy Ho. So he will give a short, brief introduction to our distinguished guest speaker, Vincent Pardieu.
Sawadee krap. Okay, this is our greeting from Bangkok. Welcome back to AIGS Gem Tips. Today we have a full house again. I just checked the number of countries. We have participants from 45 different countries. This is our second webinar. The first was last week. Okay. After our webinar last week, we received a lot of emails asking when will be the next webinar be. So let me just explain a little bit about the format. Okay. Number one, this is going to be a weekly webinar with different speakers. Okay. Two, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Bangkok time. Okay. Number three, all the speakers are invited. They are all volunteers. So I just want to let everybody know that nobody is getting paid. Everybody is contributing their time. Let's just say during this coronavirus mess where everybody is staying at home, lonely, bored. So thank you for all the speakers just to contribute a little bit back to society. Number four, all the webinars are going to be recorded and will be posted on AIGS website as well as YouTube. So for those of you who missed last week's webinar, you can go to the AIGS website and download, or you can go to YouTube. Also, if there's anybody in the audience that is a good speaker that would like to contribute, okay, or you know somebody that can speak on gemology, please contact Michelle. Okay, today's speaker is Mr. Vincent Pardieu. Actually, I don't really need to introduce him that much because I think most of you probably know him already. But I know him very well because he used to be my drinking buddy. And we always met in Yangon when I was spending a lot of time in Burma, and that was our meeting place in Yangon, okay, at the Geological Palace Hotel. Actually, Vincent was in charge of AIGS laboratory, okay, some, I don't know, 15, I don't know how many years ago, once upon a time, okay? And then, I'm not going to read his CV because it's too long, okay? Basically, he was in charge of AIGS laboratory, then he spent some time at Greenland laboratory in Switzerland, then at GIA in Bangkok. But Vincent is a particular type of person. He's a very interesting character. I think he found out quite a long time ago that staying in the office just was not exciting enough. He likes to go out on the field. I don't know how many arms he has broken, going into the mining areas. I don't know many people that have been to as many mines as Vincent has been. So today, Vincent is going to talk about rubies from Greenland. So thank you, Vincent. And for all the audience, please enjoy the talk. Everybody, please stay safe, stay at home, and sawadee-ka.
Thank you, Kennedy.
So now I think it's your Vincent turn, right? It's your turn now, yes.
Can you hear me, everybody? Do you hear me, guys?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So first, thanks Michelle and Kennedy for that nice invitation. As many people, currently I'm in Bangkok, and I was supposed to be at that time. I was supposed to be in Greenland, so it was a very welcome from you, to invite me to speak about Greenland. These days, I'm collaborating with the Greenland Ruby for about 3 years, and I'm visiting the mine regularly. Of course, now with this period with the COVID, it's not possible to visit the mine because everything is blocked. But the mine is still working up there in Greenland. People are still working on mining stones. So, okay, let's start with the talk. So this is a schedule of the talk. Discover the oldest ruby in the world, rubies from Greenland. First, I will give an introduction about Greenland, a brief one. And then I will speak about the different ruby types, kind of crash course on rubies. Then I will speak about geological aspects. Quite briefly, I will not go too much in detail, but you will understand that these are the oldest rubies in the world. Then I will go with the mining of rubies in Greenland, which is a responsible modern operation. And then you will see a little bit the rubies from mine to market, a kind of a story from ice to fire. So, okay, let's start. So introduction about Greenland. So I'm not sure if everybody really knows where is Greenland, but Greenland is this huge island on the north between Europe and North America, as you can see in green. So it's currently a territory that is semi-autonomous from Denmark. So you have a lot of Greenlandic people and you have a lot of Danish people there. So the capital of Greenland is Nuuk. It's located on the southwest of the island. And it's a huge country, but Nuuk as a capital has less than 20,000 people. And the whole country, Greenland, has about 56 or 60,000 people. Now,
hello, Vincent, can I stop you?
Yes?
Can you share your screen? You haven't shared your screen yet, so the attendees are wondering about your screen, yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Thanks. Yeah, sorry for interrupting. Yeah, you can continue now. Yeah.
Okay. I don't see. Okay. Okay, I will start again then. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, now we can see your screen. Thank you, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay, yeah.
So this is a summary of the talk that I already gave. Okay, now you can see the world map, and you can see that Greenland is this large green island that is located between Europe and North America. So this is a semi-autonomous territory depending from Denmark. So Denmark is in the north of Germany with the capital Copenhagen. And the whole Greenland has about 56,000 people. And the capital of Greenland is Nuuk, located in the southwest of Greenland. And Nuuk is the capital, but has about 16,000 people, not more. And including this, in these 16,000 people, you have about 300 Thai people, which is kind of funny. So when you go to a restaurant or a hotel in Nuuk, you are very likely to meet Thai people. So if you know how to speak Thai, you know, people there will be very happy to have a small discussion with you in Thai. So the mine that I will speak about, the Apalutok Ruby mine, is located about 150 kilometers south of Nuuk, the capital. So there is one thing you have to understand about Greenland is there are not so many roads. It's a coastal, it's a huge island, and all the center of the island is with ice. So people travel from place to place in Greenland using boats or using plane or helicopter. So in order to go to the mine, most of the supply and everything is going by boat or helicopter. So it's kind of difficult to move from one place to another one. So I will show you an introduction video about Greenland and about the rubies. This is the first video that we did about Greenland rubies in 2017. I hope that you will enjoy it.
Karasit nuna ay asas mafira nuna garu the commission hissunido kapo kisian di kakkat at tomakayo ito akomnan ibigit pero tokato This island that we see over here is called the Ruby Island, and this was the place where the rubies were first documented.
Can you tell us how old is this pit? Currently, the pit we are. We started mining in the pit basically a year ago. So in this area where there is archibald, we see all these rubies. There is a lot of very nice deep red crystal. Ah, not bad. Look at that. And you can see deep red color, transparent stone. This is super nice jingly material. When we find hotspots like that, we will have manual labor to take it out. Maybe cut it out with a diamond saw. So we'll put this sample in this bag in order to be sent to the lab. There is some fine quality rubies that are laying in the ground here. And what is even more amazing is that these stones are probably the oldest ruby in the world.
Sit nunat nga fasima fiwara nunagalulu qaqqarni suni issilluni lu qaqqo kisianni nalungilara qaqqat attornaqayuittut akornani aapaluttoqartoq
Are you able to see the video? I will maybe let the video finish to run in case of some people have jet lag with the video. I see that in some question. Yeah. That video was done in May 2017. But if you want to see more videos about this mine, you can go on my YouTube account and you will see there are at least 3 others. And you can also see some additional video on the Greenland Rubies website. But that was the first one. I first went to Greenland in May 2017. Okay, so anyway, the whole talk, including that video, will be on the AIGS website in a few days. So if you have any problem watching the video or the talk, you know, the whole thing will be on the AIGS website in a few days. So you just have to check with the AIGS, and then you will be able to see the whole thing again. I hope that most of the people were able to see the video, but I will go now to the rest of the talk. So now you have seen a little bit what Greenland looked like. So now I want to speak a little bit about rubies. So everybody knows that rubies own its rich red color to a trace element called chromium. Actually, you just have a very tiny percentage of chromium in ruby. Ruby is mineral called corundum, and it's mainly aluminum and oxygen, but sometimes some aluminum atoms are replaced by chromium, and thanks to that, if you have enough chromium atom, you will have a rich red color. If you have a little bit of chromium, the stone will be pink. If you have too much chromium, the stone will be nearly all black. So when you have nothing else, you have pure aluminum oxide and chromium, you go from pink to black, and of course, most people prefer when the stone is red. Now, in most of rubies, you just don't have only chromium. You have very commonly another element, which is iron. And iron will play a kind of, will create some difference in the ruby aspect. So in some ruby deposits, like a marble type ruby deposit that are probably the most famous, those like some Myanmar, from Afghanistan, from Vietnam, rubies are found in marble. And in this marble type ruby deposit, the iron content is very low. So when there is a very low iron content, most of these rubies are showing a strong fluorescence. Now, there is another type of ruby deposit that is also very well known. These are the rubies from Thailand. Ruby from Thailand, Cambodia, were mined quite a lot during the 70s, 80s, until the 90s. And these ones are not found in marble. As you can see on the left, they are found in a different type of rocks. They are found associated with volcanoes. So these rubies associated with volcanoes have a much iron content. And because of this iron content, the fluorescence of the stone will be lower. As you can see on the photograph with the facet stone, you see that the stone on the right have a red that is glowing a little bit everywhere in the stone, that you don't see too much like a kind of window and extension kind of a thing. But for the stone on the left, you can see some, inside the rubies, you can see some transparent area where the light is going through, and you can see also some dark area. So basically what is happening is that with fluorescence tend to create a kind of hazy aspect and will minimize the effect of a window and extension. So rubies, oh, it seems that everybody can see. It seems that I had a warning about internet connection. So I hope that everybody will be able to see. So basically in the aspect of the rubies, you will have two things. You have rubies with low iron that are strongly fluorescent, and ruby with high iron that are usually less fluorescent. Now, there is another thing. When you have iron in a ruby, and if you have also a bit of titanium, you may have iron and titanium creating some blue. So the blue, most of the time, will not appear because the red will cover the whole thing. But you will have either a small little bit of purple or it will create some darkness. So usually rubies with high iron content are usually slightly darker than ruby with low iron content. Now, interestingly, for the past 10, 15 years, you have another type of rubies that appear in the market. And these rubies first appear in Tanzania as a faceted gem of fine quality in a place called Windsor. And these rubies are not coming from marble, they are not coming from basalt, they are coming from a new type of rock that is amphibole. Before you had ruby with amphibole, but they were mainly cabochon grade. But in Windsor, in 2007 in Tanzania, you had a production of very fine stones, sometimes 10 or 20 carats that were clean, gem quality facet grade. And they had an iron content that was a little bit lower than the basalt related, but higher than the marble type. Then after Windsor, you had another discovery, this time in Mozambique. And Mozambique is quite exceptional because the production from this place rubies that are going from nearly as fluorescent as the marble type to dark, a little bit dark, like the Thai Cambodian type. You can see that on this photograph here with a parcel that I saw at a Gemfields auction in Singapore, where you can see that from this man you had about 10% of the stone, 15% of the stone that were very bright red. You had 60, 70% that were medium, and then you had about 20, 30% that were dark. And this darkness is coming mainly from the high iron content. While in this stone here on the top, you have a lower iron content. So this is quite interesting because rubies, depending on the place where you are on the planet, some people prefer to have a bright ruby, some people prefer to have a stone that is a little bit darker, depending on the light condition where you stay. So basically, this new type of deposit can provide stones that will fit different tastes in the market on the planet. So when you look at the chemistry, this is something that we use in laboratory in order to identify the origin of the stone. We are looking at the trace element. Here on this diagram, I put the iron, on the top, and vanadium. So the vanadium scale is logarithmic, and you can see that the Burmese type rubies and ruby for marble are usually very low in iron, but this one, the Burmese ruby, are high in vanadium. And on the other side, you have the yellow that are high in iron. Some of the Mozambique ruby also high in iron. And you can see that we are fitting all the Mozambique ruby right in the middle between, high iron from like in Thailand, Cambodia, and low iron like in Burma. You can see that the ruby from Greenland have a kind of unique place because they have a medium iron content that can go up and down. And also they have a significant amount of vanadium, much higher than, for example, rubies from Windsor on most of the Mozambique rubies that I have seen. So on a trace element chemistry point of view, Greenland ruby so far seems to be quite unique. So currently we can find rubies in different places, as you can see, and it's all related to geology. So you have here with colors all the different type of rock and place where you find rubies on the planet. So in orange here, on the top on the right, you can see the Himalayan senoic orogeny. So these rubies that form, when the Himalaya form, are about the same age as the Himalaya, between 45 million to 5 million years old. In red, you will find the rubies that are associated with volcano, with basalt. And this basalt extrusion started 65 million years ago, and they stopped about 1 million years ago. So the rubies that are coming from this place are about between 1 million to 65 million years old. And in green, you have mainly in Africa, but you have also the south of India and Sri Lanka. You have all the rocks that are coming from the Neoproterozoic orogeny, basically when they were formed about 750 to 450 million years ago, when all this, the continent we have now on the planet were only one supercontinent. And now you have a unique place, and you can see this is the yellow dots on the top in Greenland, and the Greenland rubies are about 2.8 billion years old. According to the recent study, there is a young geologist called Andrew Fagan who finished his PhD last year, and he published a big paper, more than 500 pages, about the ruby deposit in Greenland, where he was able to date this ruby at 2.8 billion years old. So basically 2.8 billion years old means that the ruby from Greenland are about 4 times older than the Mozambique ruby, and they are about 50 times older than the Burmese ruby, and probably maybe 500, 1,000 times older than some of the Thai rubies. So we can say that Greenland rubies are the oldest rubies in the world. They are probably not the oldest gemstone in the world, because there is an emerald deposit in South Africa at Gravelot that is providing emeralds that I think are a little bit more than 3 billion years old. But at least these rubies are probably the oldest corundum in the world. So let's look a little bit at the geology. So this is a map of Greenland. You can see, this is a geological map of Greenland. You can see in reddish on the lower part, this is the North Atlantic Craton. This is in this area that you have the ruby mine here. There is one thing interesting when you start to look at all the small dots here, is you can see that there are some mines that are open, some mines are closed, and currently the ruby mine in Greenland is the only operating mine in Greenland at the moment. All the other mines are not in operation, but this one is the only one that is currently in operation. So this is a more detailed map of this area. So the area that is potentially rich with rubies is not just a small dot where Greenland Ruby is working now, but the area is probably around 200 or 300 kilometers from north to south. And you have several places where people have found, occurrence of ruby on the western coast, southwestern coast of Greenland. Now, when you zoom a little bit in this area that is in red, this is the place where is located the Apalutok ruby mine that is worked currently by Greenland Ruby. So you can see that these rubies are located in the Fish-Canesset, an orthosite complex, and these are all this gray area here. So in all this gray area, there is potentially a ruby. So you can see that regarding rubies, there is quite a lot of potential in Greenland. But currently, there is only one mechanized operation that is working. This one is at Apalutok. And the reason why it's working at Apalutok is because just near Apalutok, on the fjord, in this small dot that is here, which is called Ruby Island, it was the first place where ruby was found in Greenland by geologists. Danish geologists were going all around in order to look at the rock in Greenland in the 1960s. So from the 1960s, they discovered this stone that I guess were known from local people for a while, but for many years there was just no market. So the mining operation in Greenland started just, about 20 years ago. So here you can see a close-up on this rock, and you can see a young geologist, a young Danish geologist that is working at the mine that was showing me this boulder that he found, where he was able to find some interesting occurrence of rubies associated here. You can see these greenish materials that are mica and amphibole, the whitish material of feldspar, and you have also some funny dark dots here that are probably cordierite. So it's quite interesting because when you look at the close-up here, so you can see the ruby, you can see the mica, you see some amphibole nearby here, that's the amphibole, mica here, ruby here, and then you can see this intrusion where you had now a lot of feldspar plus some cordierite, and here, I don't know if you see, but you have this metallic thing that is molybdenite, which is usually found in pegmatite. So this type of ruby deposit, it's not exactly metamorphic like you have in Burma with marble, where you have rubies that are formed by pressure and temperature. Here, there is something else. You have pressure, temperature, plus you have an action by fluid. So there is a metasomatic compound. Metasomatic means that it's not a closed system like in metamorphism when you have only pressure and temperature, but you have also a lot of fluid circulation from outside and inside. So the whole deposit actually is quite interesting because it's not very homogeneous because of the fluid interaction with the different type of rocks that were present in the area. So the cordierite that you can see, the dark dot on the rock, they are also found sometimes in a gem quality, like here. And you can also find sometimes cordierite associated with rubies, which is something that I don't have seen too much in any other deposit of the same type. If you put some lights, you know, because before you can see the light in Greenland, the light is very dim. It's very high in the north, so the light is never very strong. So if you put a light on the stone, the whole thing becomes much more vibrant, and you can see the red of the ruby starting to glow, and you can see also the cordierite that is called in the gem trade iolite that start to show a nice blue. So these are the two type of gem quality minerals that we can find in the mine in Greenland. Now, when you look at the whole thing, you can see here the variety of the rock. You have this a big mica area here. You have some amphibole here. You have this big area in the middle where you have a lot of feldspar and cordierite. So this is quite classic from a metasomatic deposit where you have an interaction between existing rock and fluids that are coming from deeper. Now, and see something that was interesting, on the other side of this boulder, we found this. So in this area, there was much more amphibole, less mica, and you can see that all the rubies were surrounded with a kind of a crust of feldspar. And this was very reminding me of something else. Basically, it's very, very similar to what I saw in Mozambique when I visited the mine at Maningenais. So you can see on the right what we could see in Mozambique in 2009. And you can see on the left what I saw in Greenland in 2017. So you can see that in both cases, rubies are associated, surrounded by feldspar, a kind of rim of feldspar, and then they are found in a rock that is a mix-up of mica and many amphibole, green type amphibole, probably pagasite. So very similar. When you look a little bit wider, you can see this is in Mozambique. You can see this greenish area where you have amphibole plus mica that is intruded by many of these white lines that are actually a feldspar, and that are probably the remaining of some fractures that were filled with fluid that later crystallized as feldspar. So when you compare the ruby from Greenland and the ruby from Mozambique, basically they are very similar. When, the one I collected myself, either in Greenland or Mozambique, that you can see on the lower part of the screen on the left for Greenland and lower part of the screen on the right for Mozambique, they were very similar. Regarding the inclusion, they're also very similar. And when you look at the stone, when you put many stones together, you find also some similarities. But the ruby from Greenland are usually more milky. You have more milkiness in the stone. But when you go on the primary deposit like Maningenais, you find exactly the same type of rubies that are a bit flat with a lot of fractures. Now, there is one very big difference regarding geology between what I saw in Greenland and what I saw in Mozambique. In Mozambique, most of the production from the mine is coming from a secondary detrital deposit that is resulting from the weathering of the rock over 1 million of years. So you had some mountain 500 million years ago over Mozambique that were probably maybe 10 kilometers high. And these mountains were totally destroyed by erosion, mainly by water and chemical action over millions of years. And currently, when you go to Mozambique, you have a flat area. And in this flat area, if you dig a bit in the ground, you will find on the left photograph, you have here a layer of gravel. So this layer of gravel is rich in rubies because the rubies are so strong and so tough that they were able to survive the millions of years of weathering. And they are now accumulated on the gravel over this area. So this is what currently Gemfields is doing. They are mining this place, they are removing the overburden, and they are mainly collecting this line of white rock that they are going to wash. So they are working a secondary deposit. They don't have to break hard rock. Now in Greenland, this is very different because even if the deposit is much older, maybe 4 times older than Mozambique, erosion was not done the same way. Erosion in Greenland was done by ice, by grinding. So in Greenland, basically there is no economical deposit as a detrital or secondary of rubies. Nobody, at least that I know, or that everybody, anybody that I met ever found. So in Greenland, all the rubies that are mined, more than 99% are coming from hard rock deposit, while in Mozambique, probably 99% of the rubies of economic value are found in a secondary deposit. That's a huge difference. Because of course it's much cheaper to mine gravel and to wash gravel than to break hard rock in order to extract rubies. So this will bring me to mining in Greenland. So let's see a little bit how it is. This is where is located the mine. You have seen in the video. The mine is located in a very pristine place, usually covered with snow, maybe 8 months per year. And when I go there, I just love it because I'm totally surrounded by nature. I don't know if you can see, but in this photograph, there is a bird. In the center, you can see, maybe you just see one big rock, but look a little bit on the left side of the rock here. So this is a partridge, this is a snow partridge, and all around the mine, you have seen that in the video, there are reindeers, there are birds, there are hares. There is a lot of animals that are living all around the mine, and every time the miners are going up and down, we can see them. So this is something that I really like a lot, to be able to witness mining and then also to see nature around and to see both of them, in harmony. Now, this is a more classic view of the mine where you can see much better how is the operation. You can see that the mine actually, it's a very small operation. The mining pit here is not very big. It's about maximum 200 meters. So compared to Mozambique, the miners in Greenland have just scratched a tiny little part of this huge island, while in Mozambique, the operation is on several kilometers. So the mining pit is currently located here, and then about 500 meters from the mining pit, you have a sorting plant, and down there lower, you have the camp where the miners are living. So let's get a close-up. So you can see how is the place, the mine. That was in 2017. Currently, the pit is a little bit larger, but you can see a little bit how mining is done there. Mining is done by layer. Basically, the miners are working layers about 3 meters by 3 meters. They are going down 3 meters at any time. So if they found a good stone, a good place, a good location with some nice stone, in order to keep mining that, they will have to mine the whole layer and then build the excess in order to mine lower and lower. So slowly and slowly, they will dig a pit that will be deeper and deeper. So this is when the first time I went there. It was we had a nice day, and you can see on this area on the left, this is where we found some very nice stone. We found this outcrop, and with this outcrop, with my fingers, I was able to take out rubies that were transparent quality gem material, very similar to the one I have seen in Mozambique. There was the one I showed you on the photo before, and they are the ones that this young geologist working at the mine is proudly holding. So you can see the stone is red, is transparent, but you can see also the dark line are fractures in the ruby. So this is a view of the mine in summer. That was last year in 2019. So you can see that in this time there was no snow. Basically, there is snow in around the mine 8 months per year. So some people were asking me if basically there is an impact regarding global warming regarding mining in Greenland. And actually, no, because if temperature rise and if there is no snow, there is one problem when there is no snow in Greenland, is that there is water. And water creates mud. And mud and water, fills the mining pit. So for the miners in Greenland, it's a kind of complicated because they have to remove the water and clean the mud and things like that. While when temperature is below zero, basically -5, -10, -15, everything is perfect because water is ice. And ice is a very good cement. So you can mine and it's very easy to clean. So actually it's easier to mine in a frozen ground, let's say between -5 to -15, than to mine when there is a lot of mud and a lot of water, infiltration water. Because when you dig, then there is water coming from the ground that is filling your pit, and then you have to pump that all the time. Now, if the temperature is going too low, this is not very convenient because then you start to have problems with machine, like the diesel will froze, and when you start to go to temperature below -20 or -30, that starts to be a difficult time. But then when it's between -5 and -20, miners find that very convenient. So this is in winter. So in winter, actually, when temperature was like that, -10, -15, this is very convenient because now you have, with the technology, you have the right clothing, people, the workers there, they have the right machines, they have the right clothes, so you don't really feel the cold. And this is actually, it's nice, and I'm not too hot, I'm not too cold. You can see that I opened my jacket because I was even feeling a little bit too hot while it was probably about -15. You can see that the operation is very modern, and this is the key reason why there is now this operation in Greenland, is because of modernity. This has nothing to do with something like global warming. It has to do with technology. Now with technology, you have internet. You have suitable machines that are enabling, to mine, that are enabling to sort the stone. You have suitable clothing that enable people, not to stuff that I'm wearing, that I'm holding. It's a mobile GPS. So with this GPS, the young geologist next to me can find out all the time exactly where he is and follow the mining plan. So thanks to technology, with internet, with a helicopter, with a boat, with all the facilities that they have, the modern facility, is now suitable to mine in Greenland. And there is something else, is because of technology, you don't need to have 500 people. If it was 30 years ago, maybe in order to have an operation like the one you have now in Greenland, you have need about 200 or 300 people, and it would have been very difficult to keep this mine running all the year long, like from spring to summer, autumn, and winter, even if there is snow. But now, because of technology, in Greenland, the mine can operate with between 10 and 20 people. So 10 to 20 people, you can bring enough supply in order to make sure that people will be able to keep working in winter. They will have enough food and things like that, and you can also remove the waste. So by regulation, all the waste from the mine have to be removed and bring back to Nuuk. So because of technology, it's now possible to run a place like this mine in Greenland. So you can see in wintertime, people are working. It seems that this is night, but you have to understand that in Greenland, we are very far in the north, and night is starting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sunrise is about 10 a.m. So miners in Apalutok start to work about 7 a.m. in the morning. So this is around 7:38, so it's still dark, and people are starting to mine. Here, the machine is used in order to drill. It's a drilling and a placing explosive in order to blast, in order to collect some ore. So I really love it when I go in winter and I see, you know, the mine in operation. You have the machine with the light moving with the snow. The light is not very strong, and you have a kind of unique kind of a magic atmosphere. So here they are discussing about the explosive and preparing for the blast, placing the explosives. The geologists are all the time in the pit. You have, they follow the whole thing, they look at the rock, and it's kind of a very complicated job because in the winter, most of the outcrop are covered with snow, and in summer covered with mud. So they have to look in the pit, to clean the area in order to be able to see where they are mining, which is a very challenging job, especially when it's night and it's covered with snow. So that was for the mining pit. Very challenging condition of work, but it's just incredible to go there and see the work, especially in winter. Now we'll go to the sorting plant. So the sorting plant, it's this big red building that you can see near the lake. And this is where all the ore is bring to. Everything that is collected at the mine is bring to the sorting plant, and then it go with this conveying belt inside the big red building. And in the big red building, there is technology. So this is what is hiding inside the big building. You can see here where there is an operator. This is a DMS. So a DMS, it's a machine that will sort the rock depending on their specific gravity. Rubies are very dense. They have a high specific gravity, and some of the minerals are much lighter. So based on, you know, they will put a liquid that have a high specific gravity, and this liquid will separate everything that will be lighter will float, and everything that is heavier will sink. So thanks to that, the miners are able to separate the rock that have rubies with the rocks that don't have rubies. So the first thing that happens, first, all the rock are crushed. So there is blasting, the rock are crushed, they are bring to the salt plant, they are crushed again in smaller size, and then you have a hand pick. People, if they see a big rock with rubies, they take them out, and then everything is going to the DMS where there is some sorting. And at the end of this process, when the DMS sorting is done, it's going to this red box that is on the left, and this red box is an optical sorter. An optical sorter, this is again one of these wonderful technology machine. Actually, this optical sorting in gemstone mining was first used in Brazil at the Belmont mine. And the miners at Belmont were traveling in Germany, and they saw some machines that were done, I think, for McDonald's. The original thing was basically they asked if they could adapt some machines that were sorting the salad for McDonald's in order to remove all the piece of salad that had some brown, in order to sort emerald at Belmont. From Belmont, it went to Tanzanite 1 in Tanzania. And then people who built this mine in Greenland had the idea to bring this optical sorter. So this optical sorter is separating every rock that has any kind of red with all the rest. So there is two stages of separation inside this plant. The DMS that is sorting by weight, by specific gravity, and then the optical sorter that is sorting by color. And then at the end, you have all the results of the sorting that are going to the sort house where people are going to hand sort the stone and check and separate everything that is waste with everything that is rubies and everything. So the last step only is done by human labor. And this is currently my work. The work I'm doing currently at the mine is I'm helping the geologists that are the gentlemen in the middle, working on the mining plan. I'm helping the geologists to find the rubies and to understand much better about rubies, because their background, the company that is working there, it's a big iron mine. So I'm trying to show them the difference between mining iron and mining rubies. And then I'm also helping to train, you know, the operators, the staff at the mine, which are all Greenlandic, and to sort the stone in order to separate what is waste to what can be useful, is you know, as a heat-treated stone, or as a specimen, or as a stone that will not require heat treatment. So that's the main thing that I'm doing. You know, that's why I go to the mine regularly in order to train people. So I provide training to Greenland Ruby. So this is the sorting. Here you can see the geologists are trained. I'm training them to sort the stone. And at the end of the process, the geologists are checking all the production. They are checking the whole thing that was a mine, the work of the staff, and geologists are double checking. So it's a bit like in a gem lab. I put a system where you have basically at least 2 people who are checking the production in order to decide what will be done with that. So then when the work is done, you have the camp. So this is, the camp is located lower than the mine, and people, you know, in the evening are going down. You can see on the top right, I really love to go there in the evening when night starts to fall at dusk, because the light is just beautiful in winter. You have this small red house that start to be lightened up, and the whole area start to have this kind of bluish glow because of the sky. So it's just a kind of magic atmosphere, very lovely. The mining camp is very comfortable, actually. The food is great. The food is, you know, classic Greenlandic food, a lot of fish. You have, which is quite unusual in Greenland, you have a lot of vegetable. You know, in Greenland, you don't have too many trees, you don't have many gardens. Most of the people, the local people in Greenland, mainly eat meat and fish. But at the mine, they have a more, you know, balanced diet. And you have also vegetable, you have yogurt, you have quite a lot of things. Food is good at the mine. And I have rarely seen a mine where food was so good than compared to the mine in Greenland. So everybody can share the food together. The whole team at the mine, you have to imagine, is usually about 20 people. So everybody eat with each other, speak, and it's kind of a social time that everybody have at breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Regarding lodging, you have inside this house, basically everybody have a room and a single room. All the rooms are single, and the rooms are just looking like the room that I had when I was a student. I was studying chemistry in Bordeaux in France, and the room for the miners are very in a place. So very basic, but you know, it's warm. You have a bed, you have a table, you can work, you have a place to store your equipment, and everything is quite fine, and it's actually very comfortable. Simple, basic, but comfortable and clean. Now there is something that the miners can enjoy, you know, in the evening. This is the northern light. During the night in Greenland, sometimes you have this phenomena that is you can see on the video, that we can see very often over the mine, which is called northern light. Actually, this is due to the sun activities, and the sun activity on the northern hemisphere, you know, will make some ionization of the atmosphere, and this ionization of the atmosphere will create some light. And people who are working out at night, in some case, when there is a strong sun activity, you can see this light, you know, on the sky in the north. Here, it's a little bit accelerated, but actually, this video was done by one of the geologists, Alexander Kuhn, and it took about half an hour, and he condensed that in, accelerated the whole thing into less than 1 minute. So they have now some application. When you are at the mine, you know if there are northern light in the area or not. So you can schedule your night, and you know, okay, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I will go out and I will see a bit what is going on. It's very beautiful, super beautiful. So now from mine to market. Okay, I'm running short of time, but I hope you are still here. Yeah, I still see a lot of people around here. Okay, So these are some of the production of the mine. So this mine is producing a huge quantity of stone, from a tiny one like the one you can see on the top left, to also some big one like you can see this one on the right. This one on the right is a kind of a nice piece because it's over 100 carat. It's not a flat stone like the one on the left on the bottom. It's actually a kind of a round stone, so a very good shape if you want to cut. Now, you can see that there is nevertheless one issue. You can see a lot of lines in this thing. And you cannot see really through because many of the stone in Greenland are milky. This stone is about 20 carat, very nice, clean, but you can see when I put the light, it's a little bit hazy inside because it's milky. You can see also that the stone is covered with mica, so it's quite difficult to identify the stone when you have, in front of you, you have a bunch of material. It looks like nothing because it's all covered with mica. So you have to look carefully in order to see if within the mica, you don't have red. And the reason why this stone is here, you know, in the pile is probably because the optical sorter has identified some red. So it's a kind of a tricky sometimes. And you may miss a stone because sometimes only a small part of the ruby is visible and the rest is covered with mica. Actually, this stone is a very good one, more than 20 carat, very few fracture, but milkiness. The main issue we have with the production in Greenland is that many stones have a fracture. You can see on the top, on the left, you have, you can see when I put the torchlight, you can see some dark, right? This fracture. You can see also on the left, you can see the fracture is blocking the light. And this is one of the issues with the fracture. They block the light, they reflect the light. So when you have a stone that has fracture, you don't have a great transparency. On the large stone that you have on the right, that stone is about 150 carat. You have fracture, you have a little bit of milkiness, but you can see also that the stone is purplish. The reason why it's purplish, there are two reasons. Number one, ruby is dichroic. In one direction, it's more purple than in the other one. One direction, ruby is purple. The other direction, it's orangey. So purplish, orangey, dichroic. If you want a ruby to be red, when you cut it, you have to put the table in the right direction in order for the purple and the orange to balance each other. But when you look at the rough, if you have the light going through the ruby, it's either looking purplish or orangey. You don't want the stone to be purplish. You don't want the stone to be orangey. The great magic of the cutter, the art of the cutter, is to take a piece of a rough ruby and to maximize the beauty. So he will have to cut the stone as a red stone. But in order to be able to do that, he will need some help. So how to do with the milky, the fracture, or the purplish stone, which represent most of the production? You have some stone, but a very tiny percentage that are not milky, that are not fracture, and that doesn't show too much purple, that have a good shape and everything. But this is a tiny percentage of the production of every mine, and Greenland is not an exception. So what to do with, let's say, 99% of the production that is milky, fractured, or purplish? Well, Thai people have found an answer. Basically, they are using a treatment in order to heal the fracture. So on the left of the screen, you can see basically they are copying nature as usual. You can see on the left of the screen, this is an illustration from the book that got me an interest for gemology, which is called Ruby and Sapphire by Richard Hughes. And you see this natural process of fracture healing that in nature take probably a lot of time. I have no idea, and I don't think anybody can say how long time it takes in nature to turn an open fracture into a fingerprint, and this fingerprint turn into a kind of network of negative crystal. You can see a photo of a natural healed fingerprint, partially healed fingerprint in the bottom in a Thai ruby. Now, miners cannot wait for thousands of years or maybe million years for the fracture to heal. And probably on a piece of jewelry that people wear, you cannot do that. So in the 1970s, people in Thailand find a solution when they were working. They were just near Chantaburi in Thailand. You have a place that is called Khao Phloi, that is a volcano and that have sapphire around, and most of the sapphire are black star sapphire. And these stones are breaking very regularly because they have fracture and they have parting. But one of the jewelers working in Chantaburi, the jewelers, in order to protect the gold and or the stone when they are doing a welding, they are using a mineral, a natural mineral called borax, in order to protect some part of the jewelry they are making from oxidation when they are heating the piece of jewelry. And he found that using borax, he could repair some broken stone. So from repairing broken stone, these jewelers started to repair broken rubies and started to heat the rubies with borax. Heating the ruby with borax, basically you can heal the fracture. So this is something that was developed in the 1980s. And at the end of the 1980s, the Thai dealers had really mastered this treatment and started to heat a production from a mine in Burma called Mongshu. And this mine in Burma called Mongshu will dominate the ruby trade for nearly 20 years with rubies that will be heated with borax. So this is a treatment that is known for about nearly 30 years in the trade, and that is widely accepted because it enables one thing very important. This is what? This is, with that you will really understand what is the benefit to heat rubies with borax. If you don't heat a ruby with borax, if you have a ruby with fracture, you can see on the two slides on the top, let's say the ruby is this big rectangle. When you are a cutter, because when you will put the ruby on the wheel, if the ruby has fracture, the ruby will break and you will not be able to cut the ruby correctly. So basically, in order to avoid that, you will be able to cut only 3 small stones because of the fractures. And then you can see also that the orientation of the stone will not be great because ruby is dichroic, so there is one direction where it will have a better color, but because of the shape of the rock, if you don't want to lose too much, you will not be able to cut the stone with the best color. And also, most of the rubies that are unheated, when they have iron, they have this purplish and they will be dark. Now, if you heat with borax under oxidizing condition, you will do 3 things at the same time. Number one, you will heal the fracture. So you can see on the bottom, the fracture are healed. What does it mean? It means that the fracture basically don't exist anymore. Within the fracture, ruby has recrystallized. And now these fractures don't exist anymore. You have some residue inside, but the fracture is solid. So it means that when you will cut the stone, it will not break anymore. So the durability of the rough ruby is much improved. So now you will be able to cut the stone maybe as facet, if the stone is transparent, as cabochon, or maybe as beads or as carving. So thanks to ruby with borax, you will be able to cut like the D stone, a larger stone that if the stone had not been heated. But then there is more. Because you heat the stone under oxidizing, you remove the purplish. So then the stone is brighter, have a better red, and actually you have now a large piece of rough where you will be able, as a cutter, to get a large stone with a good color. Of course, the transparency might be not perfect, depending on how many residue you have inside from the former fracture, but you will be able to cut a reasonable large stone. So this is the way the treatment is done. The first step of the heat treatment with borax is on the top of the right. It's not a guy who is trying to get away from a COVID. Actually, this is the burner is cleaning the stone with acid. The first thing you have to do is cleaning with acid. If you don't clean with acid, your borax will compete with a kind of mineral, maybe the mica, maybe the feldspar, the amphibole, that are together with the ruby. So first, very important step, you want to be sure that you will heat only ruby. So you have to clean the ruby with acid, first step. Second step, on the left on the bottom, you will add some borax. Borax is a whitish mineral turned into a powder that you will paint over the stone, and then you will heat at reasonably high temperature for a certain amount of time. And then during the cool down, the ruby, the healing process will take place, and you will be able to get at the end a production of material that will be suitable for cutting and polishing. So some of the stone will be transparent enough to be turned into facet grade, but the rest of the production, some stone will be a little bit less transparent, will be suitable for cabochon, and another type of material might be suitable, you know, for carving or for beads. So thanks to heat treatment with borax, a significant part of the production, maybe 40, 50, or 60% of the production will be able to find a market. But now, if you don't heat, probably less than 1% of the production will be able to find a market. And it will not be optimal. You will have this 1% will produce many small stone, tiny stone, and that's it. So you have the choice. If you don't heat, you have many tiny stone. That will not be maybe the best color. But if you heat, you will have a full range of stone between tiny stone to cabochon that will be 20, 30, or 40 carat. So this is why, you know, heat treatment is done with borax. And for about 30 years in Mongshu, in a place like Vietnam or other deposits, and the people who have mastered this thing are in Thailand. So most of the production of Greenland is going to Thailand in order to be heated with borax. So then after that, you can produce cabochon, and this cabochon can be going to jewelry. And some of these cabochon are really nice, really, really nice. So if you want to see, currently there is one of the first customer from Greenland Ruby was this jeweler from Copenhagen called Hartmann, and he has developed a line of collection with Greenland Ruby. Currently, the market mainly for Greenland Ruby seems to be quite a lot in the Nordic country because they have an affinity with Greenland, and they like to have their stone coming from this place. But I guess that especially for pink cabochon, you know, the Chinese market, to my understanding, have a very good understanding of cabochon. So I think that maybe this pink cabochon of rubies may have a good potential in place like China, where people understand cabochon very well, much better maybe than in place like Europe. So if you want to have more information about Greenland Ruby, I invite you to go to visit the Greenland Ruby website, greenlandruby.gl. You can also go to see the Pink Polar Bear Foundation, which is a foundation that was created by Greenland Ruby in order to channel some money to provide support for people and nature, you know, in Greenland. So go to the website. You will be able to see, to have a lot of information about the pink polar bear. Now, you can also get a lot of information on Greenland Ruby on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. And for any kind of sales inquiry, don't ask me. I'm not a salesperson. I don't know anything. I have a very bad memory for numbers. I don't know about prices. So if you want to have any information, like a sales inquiry where you can find some Greenland Ruby, where you can buy them, please contact Hele Henning, and this is her email down there. So Hele Henning at greenlandruby.gl. She will answer your question, and keep her busy. You know, she needs to be busy a bit with this coronavirus. So now, if you want to learn more about rubies and their treatment, I would like to advise you to come in Bangkok and go to AIGS, where there is a great course about synthetic and treatment. I had the pleasure to teach that course when I was working at AIGS from 2002 to 2004. I was a teacher at AIGS, and the class that I was teaching was synthetic and treatment. And I think that I teach that class about 6 times before to become the director of AIGS lab from 2004 to 2006. And this is where I started the field gemology, my field gemology program. I started that with AIGS, like Kennedy was saying at the beginning. So if you are a gemologist, if you are not a gemologist, and you want to learn more about rubies and treatment, go to AIGS, and for 1 month, you can put your hands with rubies, treated, untreated, natural, synthetic, and be able to see many of them under the microscope. And then you will be able maybe, to get enough knowledge to identify, with your microscope if a ruby is heated or not, or it's natural synthetic. It's a very good course. Then if you want to contact me, I'm quite easy to find. If you want to have more information or want to see more about Greenland rubies, I advise you to go to see my YouTube on that YouTube account that just passed today 10,000 followers. You will find many videos. There are about 30 videos to the different mining areas that I visited around the world. And you can see 4 videos about Greenland that we did. Now you can also, contact me with Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. Probably that are the easy way in order to see what I'm doing. These days I'm sharing every day a photo of some of the stones from my reference collection. So you are able to see that on Instagram, on Facebook. And if you want to contact me, just send me a message. That would be easy.